Hi, this is the start of a new project. It's a 1972 Alfa Romeo Spider. I haven't worked on a Spider before, so this will be new for me. So let's take a look. As you can see, it's in pretty bad shape and there's plenty of sharp edges to watch out for. I'm checking the front chassis and inner wings for any accident damage, looking for any buckles or creases. The nose cone, front and rear footwells, boot floor, spare wheel well, rear panel, front valance and rear valance, and doors are all in need of some attention. Now with a big project like this, once everything is stripped and excess fruit removed, it's sometimes hard to know where to start. In this case, I think it's best to start with the sills. The sills on a convertible have to be extra strong due to the fact there's no roof to brace the structure. We can see someone has previously started work on the offside sill, so here is where I'll start. The first thing I'm going to do is reinstall the old door and check the door gaps. If anything is out here, I will have to address that first. Luckily it's looking good. I will gradually find out more about the history of this car as I go along, but I can see the offside rear wing profile sits proud of the door in one place. This could indicate a replacement of either door or wing at some stage. Now I'm happy with the gaps, I'm going to brace the aperture, keeping the door on at all times. Looking at the sill, the inner sill to floor isn't in bad shape, so that should hold the bottom edge of the aperture in place. No need for a lower aperture support in this case. We can see a pop riveted repair here, which I'm obviously going to remove. Thankfully the sills have been well cavity waxed in the past. This has certainly helped. Here we can see one of the biggest threats to classic cars, and that is the common rustworm. Once rustworms get in and start breeding, you've got a real problem. The customer has supplied me with a lot of new panels, but the floors have obviously sat around a while and the little rustworms have started to feast upon them. No good, you say? Well, it's no problem for my rustworm extermination tank. The fluid in here is water mixed with deoxy from Built Hamber, and it's brilliant stuff. It will take the condition back to new, which is much more thorough than media blasting. I'm very impressed with the strength of these sills. They have used 1.5mm steel as well as 4 separate pieces making up the structure. It seems though the floor needs to be replaced while the sill is apart, or it's going to be very hard to get at the attachment spot welds. Judging by the welding, it looks as though this panel has been replaced in the past. I haven't decided if this can be kept at this point. There seems to be a few repairs carried out on this car over the years. So far they have been either tacked or riveted, which makes my life easier. Removing the floor retaining spot welds was much easier with the rusted lower sill return out of the way. Now I can make and install the new lower sill section and can finally start rebuilding. The floor has been removed after drilling and grinding a ton of spot welds. I was quite surprised how many there were. Zinc-rich weld-through primer has been applied to all the lap surfaces and holes punched in the new panel for plug welding. The seat brackets have been dipped ready for reinstallation and plug welding can begin. There's 2 ways I like to remove spot welds, drilling and grinding. I choose grinding where the material is delicate and drilling where it's not. Where you can't see the spot weld, you can sometimes pry up the material to reveal its location. There are some brackets attached underneath the floor section which need to be put back in the right place. The front floor is now removed and ready for the new one. There's a gearbox mount which has to be welded back in the same place. I measured the hole centres before removing it from the floor. Before you comment about hitting 2 hammers together, I was also taught never to do this. After 20 years restoring cars and using this technique, I have never noticed any metal fragments flying or damage to the hammers. It might depend how hard you hit them, and in bodywork you never hit anything hard. I have left the butt welding of the 2 floors until last, and this is because the plug welding of the floor will have shrunk the panel to some degree, and combining the 2 operations will increase the strain on the metal. This will increase distortion. Where the 2 floors join is under the chassis outrigger, which is ideal for hiding the joint underneath the car, but no access is available out to the sill without cutting a hole. It was much easier plug welding from outside with the sill apart. Now here's something you may not know. Most grinders run at the wrong speed. This makes a huge difference to metal grinding efficiency. My grinder runs 11,000 RPM. If we look at the disc, it says run the disc at 13,300 RPM, which for a new disc is automatically 80 meters per second surface speed. With my grinder at 11,000 RPM, the surface speed is already too low at 66 meters per second. When the wheel is half worn, the surface speed drops to 49 meters per second. This is why they work so badly half worn, and to make it cut you will end up putting more and more pressure on the wheel and grinder, or throwing the half worn grinding disc away in exchange for a new one. What I do is put the half worn disc on my air grinder, which runs at 18,000 RPM. This takes the surface speed back to 80 meters per second and it cuts beautifully. Very light pressure required and precision grinding is achieved. No more needlessly forcing the grinding wheel to cut and causing excess wear and heat. Of course, grinder manufacturers know this and they have their reasons for making them this way. What that reason is could be speculated upon. With the offside floor fully welded, next I'm going to repair the end of the inner sill so that the next sill panel can be installed. I've only tack welded the new panel in place because the very outer sill needs to be checked for fitment first. This will involve fitting the new door, etc., but that will be in another video.